Welcome back to this series of how to become a premium client magnet. I hope you've watched the other videos in this series. I can't wait to share this one with you because this is the one where you get ideal clients saying that they're ready to work with you before you've even pitched, before you've even asked for the sale, right? And you're probably thinking, how do I do that? Do I need to post 3 million times a day on social media? Do I need to be dancing on reels? What do I need to be doing, Yasmin, in order to convince somebody that I'm the right person to work with? Now, first things first, convincing energy is not attractive. So we're not in that space of convincing, right? I want you to think of yourself as a lighthouse, right? You shine your light and they're going to be attracted to it, right? But this does not mean that you have to show up on social media every single day because let's face it, nobody's got time for that. You didn't start your business to do that. You certainly don't want to be cringe dancing on reels or any of that kind of stuff, right? I cannot tell you how many times I have, followed somebody and they're like creating amazing momentum and then they disappear. And the problem is that momentum was built on them showing up all the time and they get burnt out, they get exhausted, and then they're like, this is not sustainable, right? And I think that's a really important word because everyone's always talking about growth and it's like, oh, it's going to be so fast. But hold on a minute, can you hold that, right? In your energy, in your body, can you hold that? If you suddenly just had an influx of all of these followers and suddenly you had all of this scrutiny, all of these people looking at you going, oh my God, I love this, right? Would you be able to hold that? So for me, sustainable growth is so much more attractive because it means that you grow with it, you expand, you rise into that, right? Rather than it suddenly being hit. I literally just watched this video yesterday of this woman on Instagram that I'd started kind of like being really interested in. And I noticed that her follower jump had massively increased. I was like, wow. And then I saw that she did a story where she's like, I've just had this massive increase in followers and it's actually created a lot of self-sabotage for her because she's like, now I feel like I'm going to let people down. Now I feel like I've got all these people who want to hear from me, which is a real honest and vulnerable moment. And so what I want you to think about is we don't want you to be in that convincing energy. We don't want you to be in the like, oh, me, buy from me space, right? What we want to do is we want to create that energy around you, create that certainty, create that conviction around you that makes people see that you are the obvious choice for them, right? This is what makes you a premium client magnet because you're not trying to be all things, all people, right? You're a lighthouse, you're firm, you're like standing firm, and you just shine your light and people come to you, right? But that doesn't just happen overnight. It's not just something that you can kind of click your fingers and go, woo, there we go, right? It really requires strategic and energetic actions, right? So let's talk about the strategic first, because the strategic piece is, I always feel like this is the easy bit. The energy bit is always like the harder bit for me personally. And I don't know, you might be the other way around. Strategy comes to me so easily. The energy work is the thing that I have to focus on more. So let's talk about the strategic piece of this, right? So when I'm talking about strategic, I'm thinking, okay, so if somebody discovers me, maybe you're discovering me right now, right? You discover me on a platform and you kind of go, oh, this is quite interesting. I don't want you to feel like you have to then kind of follow me and go, I wonder what she's going to create next. I wonder what she's going to create next. Or I wonder when she's going to post next, right? Because what I've done is I've created assets that pre-sell what I do. So I work with solopreneurs, coaches, consultants, experts in their field, and I teach them how to build a profitable 20-hour week business. That's what Tiny Time Big Results is all about. And one of the ways that I do that is I help my clients to charge a premium so they can work fewer hours, so they have that business that really feeds their bank account, but also their soul, and they're not burnt out. They are sustainably growing, right? And so, if you're thinking, oh, that sounds really interesting, I want to know more about that, right? But you're thinking, well, when's she going to post next? Or, maybe I might see her in my algorithm. No. What I want to do is I want to make sure that you know exactly what to do. So this is what I call the Digital Breadcrumb Trail. And this is really, if you think of Hansel and Gretel and you think of the little breadcrumbs, right? So if you discovered me on Instagram or YouTube or Facebook, wherever you're watching this, right? And you then say, right, okay, lets me find out more about her. So when you go into my bio, whatever platform it is, and you could have heard me speaking on a podcast. It literally doesn't matter how you discover me. What's important is what happens next, right? So you go into the bio, the links, and there's things there that you can get your teeth into and you can see. So for example, I have a book. I wrote a book 7 years ago, still brings me clients to this day. That's available on Amazon. You can get that as a Kindle and a paperback. I also have a lot of mini courses. I've been in business for 13 plus years, so I've created a lot of assets over the years, right? This doesn't happen overnight, but it's something that when you're strategic about it, you start to build one step at a time, right? I also have a free guide, which is called the 5 Essential Digital Assets for Solopreneurs. And this talks about the Digital Breadcrumb Trail. If you go to yasminvorajee.com/5 assets, that's 5 the number assets, you can get your free download, right? And what all of these things do is they get you to know me, like me, trust me, right? And you want the same thing for your client. You want people to land on your bio and they go, oh, what's this? They click links, right? They find something they can buy for $27, right? They find something that they can download. They have a playlist of videos that they want to watch, right? And what you're doing is you're building that certainty within them. You're building that conviction within them. There's no convincing, right? But it's conviction, it's certainty. And they're confident that you know what you're talking about. And when you have these assets working for you, this elevates your positioning. It elevates the way that people see you because they think, wow, she's put a lot of work into this, right? And they're getting to almost think of yourself as like a Netflix video or a Netflix series, like where, when you watch one thing and then you're like, oh, let's watch the next one. Let's watch the next one, right? They're binge consuming your content and they're like, oh, yeah, this is really good. And now here's the caveat. Your content isn't just content for the sake of content. It's activating content. It's content that makes them think, oh yeah, this is what I need in my business and I need help in how to actually implement it. I need help. And that's what I do. Like I will give you all my information, but I know that the true value of working with me is when I help you to implement. That is my focus. Like, why would I write a book and give you everything? Because I know that you're going to look at that and go, great, I can, I really get a sense of that. But then they'll be like, okay, so what do I do with that? How do I implement that? That's where I come in. That's why you would choose to work with me because I know how to implement it. And because I've been doing this for 13 plus years, I've made all the mistakes, right? But I also know all the shortcuts and that massively saves you, in terms of trial and error. Like some people spend years trying to figure this out. My clients take some like 90 days, right? Could you imagine where you would be in like 90 days time if you had like this pathway all built out for you so that you could go, oh, this is the next step, this is the next step, this is the next step. That's the beauty of it. So yes, you can get all my information. Look, I'm talking to you right now, right? This is me creating an asset, right? I literally do what I'm teaching you to do, right? But I also know that takes you so far and then you kind of go, right, okay, I'm ready for the next step. Whatever that might look like. That might look like it's just a mini course or an hour, power hour or something like that, right? But what the offer is irrelevant. What's important is that all of these assets are working for you on your behalf whilst you're doing other things, right? You're off having a coffee with a friend. You're taking your kids to their appointments. You're having a nap. I love naps, right? But this is how you get clients saying, I'm ready to work with you, even before you've even had to pitch. Like, so when somebody comes on a discovery call with you, really and truly, they've already decided that you're the one for them. For me, my sales calls tend to be, like 80% they're already there. They just wanted to make sure that we were a good match. And I want to make sure that we're a good match too, especially if we're going to be working one-on-one. I want to feel like we're a good fit, right? This is how you become a premium client magnet. This is what you do to elevate your positioning, right? So that it's not just about dancing on reels, but it's actually showing that you have substance, right? It's not just about style, but it's about substance. It's about growing sustainably, right? I want you to be here for the long haul, whatever that looks like for you, right? I don't want you to burn out. I certainly don't want you to be sitting there thinking, oh my God, I spent all this time building up, a platform, Instagram, whatever, and then suddenly it's gone, right? When you've got digital assets, when you've got assets working for you, what you are doing is you are building longevity into your business. And trust me, I get like notifications about things that I've sold that I created like literally 7 years ago, 5 years ago. So these are all things that are working on my behalf all the time. I create them once and then they are working over and over again. Pure leverage, right? And this is what I want for you in your business. So if you want to work with me, find out how I help my clients do this, then click the links below. You can come and work with me one-to-one, or you can join me in my accelerator program. I would love to welcome you in and show you how you can become a premium client magnet. So stay tuned for the next video in this series.